and to serve you. Today we ask that you lead us, you guide us, that you help us to be wise in all that we do. In your name we pray together. Amen.
All right, well done, Keith. Shelley, will you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Darrell Legg.
Here.
Melvina Shot Pouch. Keith Austin. Here. Danny Callison. Here. Julia Coates. Here. Sean Crittenden. Joe Deere.
He said here.
Mike Dobbins. Rex Jordan. Johnny Kidwell. Wes Snowfire. Dora Petskowski. Here. Joshua Sam. Here. Mike Shambaugh. Here. E.O. Smith. Here. Condessa Teehee. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Shelley. Can I get an approval for minutes? So moved. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, reports, Human Services, Jennifer Kirby. And she's not here. Well, do you see her? Jennifer?
She's here, sorry I had her distracted. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Good afternoon. You have our monthly report for Human Services. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything about the report.
I think the biggest question today is when the clothing voucher is going to get posted.
I do not have any.
She
We're gonna
wants
let her.
to look backwards, but she doesn't want to throw me under the bus. We are working on that diligently, and I should have an answer for you probably by, I would say by tomorrow.
Okay,
You can hold me to that, Darrell.
all right, all right. We'd like to make the deadline before it's no tax day or something, you know, if we can. Thank you. Yeah, August 5th. Anyone? Julia?
Well, she's gone now, but Jennifer, I sent this question to you. Is there any indication, and this is probably a Tara Lee question then, as to whether the at-large citizens will be included in it this year as they were last year?
Unfortunately, I'm going to give you the same answer. I should have an answer for you by tomorrow.
Anyone else? Speaker?
And this year, I hope we do something a little different as opposed to last year on our coast. We were all talking about that. There were several cold spells came in before we even did that last year. I don't know, maybe we could try to prepare a little earlier this year and try to get coast before the cold weather hits.
Thank you for that comment, and I'd love to visit with any of you that have specific recommendations after the meeting, if you'd like.
Well, I guess it's way too early for that too, but I'm just saying, last year it happened too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never too early to prepare. We agree with you 100%. And I'd love to visit with you after if you have specific recommendations.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Doctor?
These are all great recommendations, and I definitely appreciate hearing the questions about the clothing voucher and about the coats as well. I had asked previously about the potential for more incorporation of the Gadugi portal. I know that there are often many of us who have questions related to specific citizen concerns, and I'm always worried about those kind of getting lost in an email inbox somewhere. And I just kind of wanted to inquire about whether it might be possible for there to be more incorporation of an automated system for forwarding concerns and questions regarding programs in your department from the council.
I can speak on the side of us getting more things out to the citizens as far as the applications and the programs. We have been in work with Paula Starr and her team and IT to look at some of our yearly reoccurring programs like LIHEAP or some of those that capture a large number of citizens, we've got a list going and some deadlines that we're working towards to make sure that those are on the portal. But as far as the council interaction and things, I think that would probably also be something that, for Tara Lee
Okay.
at some point to maybe talk with you guys about or to get some feedback on. But
Right.
I can only speak to the program side, and
Right.
we are looking to eventually integrate everything that we can into the portal and make it easy for the citizens to get used to using that platform and then getting the applications back to us.
Right, right. I understand that we're always going to have a portion of our citizens who might not be technologically
Right.
adept, or they may not have access, and so I know that a lot of our citizens also access things on their smartphones. So I know there are a lot of challenges to kind of creating more of a one-stop shop, sort of, for our citizens with the various programs we have here. But I do really appreciate the effort. And it's good to hear that there's also more in the works, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we always try to build in for our staff to help with those applications, even if we have someone that does come in, because we understand that there are going to be a group of people that are never going to be able to do that for themselves.
Right.
Or be able to integrate into that technology. So we always try to build in something to where we can walk them through or do it along with them, so.
Right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you and your staff, Brittany especially, for their quick and timely responses in helping citizens access resources. I know that your staff is extremely hardworking, and I appreciate the effort from both you and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Let
the
them know
time,
that.
Chair.
Anyone else? Eel.
So we're going to meet after this over and talk about it? Is that what we're going to do, or?
I'm here all day, Councilman.
Here, all
Into the night.
As you could probably tell, all of us are getting calls, so it's heating up and everything.
Yeah.
But, and I'm just going to say this, and I don't get off, I don't want to start it, but how come we can't do the coats and the clothes at the same time, and that way they could save all that money on sales tax? Is that not doable?
I think that, well, I'll
I
let
think
you
Tara Lee's
respond
coming
to
up.
that. I have thoughts.
I'm just going to join Jennifer. I would be happy to take that question, Counselor. It is something that we look at every single year, the viability of whether we do it now or do it later. It's something that we're still talking about today. I was sharing with Jennifer before we came down here. We're still kind of considering it, the number of citizens that do request coats versus the number that request clothing. What is the likeness there? What's the amount of money that will cost? What's the timeliness? There's a school of thought that not everyone wants all of their clothing assistance at the same time of year. Some people want to wait until coats are on the shelf. So we're kind of considering all of that still today, but we've gotten very close, I think, to a viable answer that should make everyone, I won't say make everyone happy, but should help everyone address the needs that are most real in the time frame for clothing voucher. I hope that helps answer your question.
Yes, it's just, like, they're real good to help, because there's so many of these grandmas that are raising
Sure.
these babies, and they don't know how to do that, and they work good with them, and everybody's doing their best, but I'm trying to save some money.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
And-
their effort.
Absolutely, and it's always good to talk through new ideas that we all have. That's why I encourage anyone who has a thought about a process or an update that they want to share. I'd be happy to talk about that today.
Anyone else?
We learn a lot every year. I remember I was involved in the very first year of clothing, and we would get to a location, open the doors at 9 a.m. We wouldn't usually leave until midnight. That's how long it took to take the applications by hand. So, and that was a $50 Walmart card, I think, at that time. So I think we've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
And our citizens have been able to, be served a lot quicker in a lot of instances, so, but
No, for sure. Well, Jennifer, we appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you, Tara Lee. Next, we have Michael Lynn, Transportation Infrastructure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Council. You have our written report for transportation and infrastructure. I think it was due a week or so early, but I would like to highlight just a few projects that we have nearing completion. Some water projects. We've got Locust Grove Water Treatment Plant is completed. We've got a ribbon cutting scheduled for that tomorrow afternoon at 1. Also, the Chewy Water Line extension over in Adair County. That is nearing the end. We expect it to be completed in the next 30 to 60 days. And then on the sewer side, Indian Meadows Sanitary Sewer Project, located just south of Tahlequah here, kind of east of the Cherokee Tahlequah Casino. Contractor's working on some punch list items there, some cleanup, and we expect it to become final within the next few weeks on that. Transportation projects, the Northeast Fort Gibson project, we have hired, or officially awarded, I should say, a contract for a contractor to come in there and finish the remaining portions of that job. We have a construction meeting scheduled with him tomorrow at 10, and he's eager to begin. He's ready to get out there and get things rolling. The Will Rogers Turnpike Bridge over it's on north-south 4410 Road in Craig County, just outside of Veneta. I attended a final inspection on that on June 29th. It's a great looking project. It serves our Veneta Health Clinic very, very well, much better than the previous bridge that was there. So if you're up in that area, take a look at that. Go to the clinic. You'll drive right over it. There was a few punch list items that were identified. The contractor has asked to finish those up by July 31st. So that project will be wrapping up. And the last thing I want to mention, Indian Road, the final lift of asphalt is being placed today. I think they'll continue placing the remaining portions of asphalt tomorrow. Last on that, all we would remain then would be guardrail and striping, and then that portion would be open. Now, one thing that we've been working with, I think I've mentioned this in here before, on the very far south end, Sequoia County Commissioner has a project that he's working on with a similar failure, and then on the north end there's a Cherokee County Commissioner. He is working on a failure, and then we have two portions that we're working on the middle. I'm referring to the two portions that we have. In order to open ours up, those other two really need to be completed as well. So we're kind of working hand in hand on so we can get it opened up at the same time. We don't want to open up one section up and it flood the other section with traffic and hinder any of the construction efforts down there. So we've been talking closely. I think we're going to be scheduled to meet out there later this week on site, all of us, to kind of get a better game plan. But I'm thinking in the next couple of weeks, the whole entire road section will be open. So they were saying last week they thought it'd be a week to a week and a half. So I'm hoping 2 weeks is a little more than time than they need. So that's kind of where we're at on Indian Road. And Mr. Chair, that is my report. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Anybody have any questions for Michael? EO?
You failed to mention Dwight Mission Road. Got that done.
I think they're finishing up some punch list items on there, maybe some gates and maybe some of those asphalt repairs, I believe. I haven't heard where they're at on getting those completed, but I will find out and let you know.
You know, they've had 2 bad wrecks right there on McKee Hill where they come off that.
I didn't know that.
I think we need to get with the state. I should already told you, but get some better signage down there because there's 2 bad wrecks already.
Okay. I would like to definitely talk to you about that and get the exact location so we can
Sure.
figure out what we need to do to get some signage or some kind of safety measures. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Michael, we appreciate you
Yes,
coming in, buddy.
thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Housing Services, Todd Enlow.
Good afternoon, council.
How you doing, Todd?
I'm going to talk fast because I have a special guest, Shay Stanfield, to give you an update on the ERAP that I talked about last time. So in addition to our report, a couple of highlights I'd like to provide for you. These are the playground locations where we've placed new playground equipment. There's 14 sites total, but we've completed Cherokee Heights and Pryor, Johnny Chopper and Locust Grove, Plainview in Stillwell, Plainview 2 in Stillwell, Houston Johnson and Warner, Keeler Heights in Bartlesville, Willard Stone in Locust Grove, and Proctor Heights in Hobart. We have yet to do, they started today on the 2 locations in Tahlequah, Westville, Catoosa, and Jay. But they should be working on those in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we hope to have all of those done. We are in a process, I was hoping Councilor Dare was here. We are doing a fairly substantial rehab to the Catoosa rental locations that we have in there, which includes bathrooms and kitchen renovations. And then in Birdtail, the rental units that we're replacing there, if you drive by and go look at the hospital and the clinic, you'll notice to the right as you're driving down the highway that most of that is up in the air. 3 of the units have roof structures over the top of them, and they'll be getting those in the dry hopefully in the next week or so. Locust Grove, the 6 homes there, they have sheetrock in a couple. They're all dried out except for 1, so those 6 houses are coming along nicely. Stillwell, same sort of scenario there. The 6 elder homes, 4 of them are dried in. They're working on mechanical on several of those, and they have 1 left to frame. The 24 homes in Tahlequah, there are 9 footings that have been prepared. We should be pouring 4 of those slabs this week. And then starting to work on the storm shelters and the master closets. 12 homes for bid. So we've talked a couple of times of the last couple of months that we're doing text alerts to contractors. And we're seeing the effects of that. It's working. So for the 12 homes in Muskogee, we received 8 bid responses. Normally, we would receive 3. Very good responses on that. We will be awarding that contract later this week. Salisaw, 12 homes with 8 duplexes. We're working on final utility design, and then this morning, I was reviewing the final set of documents for the J Housing Edition, which includes 10 homes there. So that should be bid out by the end of the month. So just a couple of quick numbers, or one other thing, cameras. We are getting cameras installed at Eileen Hogner and Pryor Heights, or the Cherokee Heights and Pryor. We're going to be rolling those out across multiple sites. We have 27 low-income rental units that we have. We don't have sufficient cameras in many of those areas, and so we are working on a plan for Pryor and Eileen Hogner initially. So here's the numbers I'd like to share with you. Right now, we've received 250 applications for disaster assistance from the recent storms. So you could either apply online or phone in. We have about 165 homes that are under some form of construction or design right now. There are about 1,000 low-income rental units in 27 different locations across the 14 counties. We also manage about 1,200 people in home ownership, but it's also, we manage portions of that for them. And we have 1,400 pending applications for rehab. And we do all of that with 250 employees. So a lot of good work across those 250 employees across multiple locations. So very, very happy and very proud of our team and the work that they're doing. We try and get better every day and find new ways to do things a little bit quicker and a little bit faster. So with that, do you have any questions? If not, I will turn it over to Shay so she can talk to you about ERAP.
How are we doing with the Housing Authority in ordering transformers and stuff like that for some of our projects? Because I heard that there's a 8 to 13-month wait now just to get a transformer.
Yeah, we ordered a lot of ours in advance.
Good.
Knowing that
Good
they were
deal.
coming.
Good deal. Any questions for Tom? Councilwoman?
Hi, Todd.
Hey.
I've gotten interesting sorts of questions from constituents lately who believe that they have been told that Housing Authority will replace their porch or repair their porch, that they will pay their utility bills, that they will provide them with an air conditioner, et cetera, and all of these folks are outside the jurisdiction. And I know you had told me recently that there was some things that were extending into adjacent counties a little bit, but I don't really know what to say to people when they're telling me that they've been told this. And so is there any way that, I imagine it would be a short list, but you could put together, somebody in your office could put together something about what is available to at-large citizens in adjacent counties or something like that?
Yes, certainly can. We have been looking at ways to try and expand a couple of things so that encompasses those counties that are either wholly or partially contained inside the reservation with some of the flexibility of the dollars that we have now. We haven't made that official just as of yet, but that is one of the things that we're looking at doing. So it would be one of the 14 counties at this point, and trying to make sure that we don't overextend our budget.
Yeah, I think a couple of these things I'm suspecting when they're talking about paying utilities and replacing air conditioners and things like that, that they may be referring to things that sunsetted about a year ago, right? That were available under the CARES Act or something like that.
Correct.
And I could probably assume
Yeah.
that that's the case in
Yeah,
those questions.
so-
huh? Okay,
We had greater flexibility with some of those
Right.
opportunities than we currently do.
okay, thank you.
All right, Todd. You go ahead, Speaker.
I sent you a text with the contact information and what it's about, so just let me know if you get it.
Okay, I got it. It came up on my.
Okay, all
watch.
right, thank you.
No more questions? All right, Todd.
Okay. With that, I would like to introduce Shay Stanfield to talk about the incredible work they did with ERAP.
Good afternoon. It's nice to see all of you again. I haven't been here in quite some time, so I appreciate being referred to as a special guest. I feel like it today. Well, as Todd said, one of the programs I administered the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And if you'll remember, that was funded by the U.S. Department of Treasury. The Cherokee Nation received $43 million to help people with future rent, past due rent, and the same with utilities, future and past due utilities. About $28 million of that money was sent over to the Housing Authority to administer the rental piece of that. So I just kind of wanted to touch on what Todd said. Out of those 252 employees, on top of all the other work they were doing, between March 2021 and December 2022, they were also administering this Emergency Rental Assistance Program. During that time, over 9,000 individual families applied for assistance. That is a program that we were able to offer statewide, so it wasn't just in the Cherokee Nation Reservation, but we did offer it to Cherokee citizen households throughout the state of Oklahoma and in the contiguous counties of Kansas and Arkansas. So we were able to serve a good portion of people outside of the reservation, which was helpful. Out of those 9,000 families that we were able to assist, many of those families received assistance more than one time. So even though we received about 12,000 unique applications, that was unique households, many of those people applied time and time and time again. There were really close to 17,000 applications received in total during that time that the staff processed. So we were able to get out over $25 million to households to take care of past due and future rent. I know Todd just rattled off a whole bunch of numbers to you, and I know sometimes that can kind of be like it just becomes a string of numbers, but I just want you to know that that emergency rental assistance money really did make a significant difference to many households. And not only were we able to get people caught up on rent, we were also able to house some families who had been living in overcrowded situations for one reason or another, had been homeless. We had a family out of Locust Grove who didn't consider themselves homeless, but they had recently had a baby and finally decided that maybe they needed to move. And when we got to digging and figuring out what we could do to help them and what their current living situation was, they didn't consider themselves homeless, but they were really living in a barn. They were living in the barn of a family friend, and so they had a bed and they had a roof, but they didn't consider themselves homeless. But that's just one of the many families that we were able to help throughout that program. So just wanted to give you a little update on what that money was used for and how well it was used in the number of families that it did impact. Have any questions about it?
Thank you, Shay. We got any questions for Shay? Dr. Teehee?
It's good to see you this afternoon, and you definitely are a special guest.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question about that definition of being homeless. So they did have a bed, they did have a roof, but yet they were still falling under that definition of homeless. And I was wondering if you would give us a little insight into that.
Well, it wasn't a structure meant for living. It was not, they were living in a structure that was not meant for living. It was literally a barn. It was a barn that would normally be used for livestock on a family friend's property that they were staying in.
Okay, so probably also a lack of running water.
Oh, yeah.
and-
The lack of running water. There may have been electricity there. I'm not sure about that, but there was definitely not running water. And they finally, when they had a baby, decided that this might not be suitable for the child. So they decided
Okay.
to reach out for help.
Okay. Well, we often see citizens who, and I know we all deal with this in our own districts, who they're making the most with what they have, and they're not thinking about what they don't have, and they're oftentimes sometimes reluctant to apply for resources or aid because they're thinking there's someone else who could use it more than I could. So I'm really glad to hear that those types of needs from our citizens are being identified and addressed. And I'm thankful for the work that's being done through the Housing Authority and by your staff as well. Thank you for the time, Chair.
You bet. Well, Shay, we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And next, we have the famous S. Joe Crittenden with Veteran Affairs. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Good to see you.
Harold, how are you doing?
Doing super.
Well, as you can see, I'm not nearly as attractive as Barbara, and I'm not her, but I'm here in her stead. So, and you have our report, and I'll be happy to answer or try to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions for? All right. If none, we appreciate
I
you.
want to say that Dora was at the ribbon cutting at Bartlesville up there for that VA clinic, the new one that they opened up there. And I've been assured that they're going to keep a footprint in Veneta for the veterans. So we'll see how that works. I think the bids and all of that stuff, RFPs or whatever they call them, I think all that went out. So
We did get a new date of expected completion on the Veterans Center in Salisaw, January of 2025.
okay,
And so they're fighting right now to keep Talahena open because it was planned to close in October. But now there's nowhere for them veterans to go, so they're fighting right now to keep it open until the completion's done there in Salisaw.
yeah, they don't need that stopgap in there. I mean,
Right.
and the ship that's been prepared and built for the Cherokee Nation with a Cherokee Nation name is, I think it'll probably be 25 before it's complete. So
Okay.
Houma, Louisiana is where that'll probably take place. But
All right.
and we're getting our 9th Warrior flight geared up. We got 10 veterans that we've selected, and we're working to get all the booking and stuff. And Barbara should have sent the flight schedules out so the council will have the dates and times and all that, and what airlines, and if some of you want to go along on the trip or whatever. So, but anything else? Dora?
I appreciate you bringing that up. It was a great event, and I just wanted to encourage everybody. Communications was there that day and recorded that ceremony. There was a doctor that is the liaison between the veterans and the tribes. Listen to her speech. She did a wonderful job of showing that connection between these two entities. It was very impressive, I thought. I think Mr. Crittenden would agree with me on that. So check that out on Facebook, I'm sure. Thank you.
Dora, thank you for bringing that up. And her son was videoing it on his phone, and I asked her to have him send it to me, and she did. So, and you're right, it was impressive, her talk and everything about the history and all of the land, and it was a great event and well attended. Well attended. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate you. Todd?
Mr. Chair, if I might, one thing I failed to mention, and as Secretary of Veterans Affairs was talking about what's going on there, I wanted to give you an update on Mide's Glory. That's a housing addition here for our military family. I noted last time that we've selected the first 7. We'll be notifying them soon, once we get the final cleanup done there. But this week starts the first 30-day or the 30-day rotation that you'll see members of the Canadian military in conjunction with the United States military personnel that are out there on the site. They are poured 1 slab this morning. I think the next 2, which will be the final 2 slabs that we'll be pouring concrete for, and then they'll start framing on that. So you're about to see the 20th and 21st house go upright in that 21 home addition. So
That's amazing.
pretty cool week this week.
That's awesome. Thank you, Todd. All right, old business, none pending. New business, none pending. Announcements. We have a next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 8th at 4 PM. I need one more motion. All right, all in favor?